Thank you for joining us today. It is officially Thrive Thursday. I'm Laura Brandao, the president of AFR, and today we have three guests who are going to share with us how they have adapted to our new world and are now thriving. Let's meet our guests. From Austin, Texas, we have Sonya Luechauer. She is the president and CEO of DHI Mortgage. From North Carolina, we have Matt Saunders. He is an archaeologist and an anthropology teacher at the Davidson Day School. From Dallas, Texas, we have Marisa Williams. She is a nurse practitioner and the dynamic diva at Paparazzi Accessories. Okay, Sonya, we are going to start with you. The last few months have certainly brought a lot of change and adaptation. None of us are the same as we were from back in March. So my question for you is, what have you learned from all of this change? What did you start saying yes to? And how has that helped you to now thrive?
Oh, great question. March seems so long ago. And yes, we've all learned a lot. You know, when I think about one of my big takeaways, it's stop planning so much, because for years and years, I've been with my company 30 plus years, and I'm a major planner, and that carries to my personal life, and every minute was booked out with my family, especially when my kids were growing up, and my business travel. And all of a sudden, the middle of March came and we couldn't plan anything, could we? And that was very stressful for me to have a list of things I needed to do and not know when I was going to be able to accomplish them and make plans. So as I adjusted through that, I realized what a gift it is to not plan every single day, not plan every weekend, and have more spontaneity with my family and with my teammates. You know, be able to reach out and talk to someone without it being a scheduled meeting. So that's certainly something that I feel like has caused me to thrive and that I'll carry forward post-pandemic. The other thing that I never would have thought of ever is this is personal, not professional, FaceTime workouts. I never would have thought they would work. And of course, you know, all the gyms closed, and I've been doing those workouts through FaceTime throughout the pandemic, and can see that continuing, at least partially continuing post-pandemic, because it's convenient and flexible. Don't have to necessarily be at home to do it, and they can be just as mean, those trainers. They can see you up close, and you get a darn good workout. So that's another big lesson for me. And then from the business standpoint, I would say, you know, the virtual meetings, we all know that we can get weary of those. So we've learned to kind of balance when you're on video and when you're not. But for the bigger meetings, we've had opportunities to include a lot more people, you know, like our recent MBA convention. A lot more people are able to attend because you don't have the expense of travel and that sort of thing. So we'll definitely carry some of that forward also.
Awesome. All right, let's take that in little pieces. Okay, so the first one, giving up that control. And that's a big one. I mean, I certainly can appreciate that. And I agree with you that we all, you know, especially in the mortgage business, you have to have everything organized and planned out. And we also like to always think in future terms, right? We're always looking forward. We're always like, okay, in 1 month, in 2 months, in 1 year, let's plan. And here we're like, we have to give up a little bit of control. So what were some of the things that you did to start to give up some of that control? Was it just accepting it? Was it in stages? Like, how did you actually get comfortable? with being uncomfortable with giving up that control?
Oh, it was definitely a process. And I went through the time period where, oh, I can't do that this week, but I'll plan that meeting for 3 weeks from now, or I'll plan that event down the road. And we all know that, you know, the pandemic has continued. So, as that went on, I think I began to accept it. And I also think I began to enjoy it a little bit.
Right.
That's where the real gift was, I believe.
I agree with you. And I also agree with what you said, like, for example, with the MBA annual, you're right. So many people that you wouldn't have thought to send, right, to get on an airplane or have to be out of the office for a few days, they were able to attend this time. And that was a blessing. So I agree with you. Maybe we're learning that in the future, maybe these conferences should have a virtual component as well as an in-person once we can. Right?
Yeah, that's a great thought.
Yeah, maybe. So that's awesome. And I love the tip about the FaceTime. That's a great share. That's wonderful. Okay. All right, Matt, tell us what was going on in your world. Obviously, tell us a little bit about, just so the audience knows what you were doing prior to a pandemic in the summers and how what you teach, ties into your being an archaeologist and all of that, just so everybody kind of gets the picture. And then tell us what has changed and what you've said yes to and how you're thriving now.
Oh, yes. Well, let me start by saying thank you for inviting me, Laura. That's really nice. And I also want to disagree with something Sonya said. I really don't appreciate the FaceTime workout. I've lived under the lie that didn't exist. And now that I know it exists, I don't have an excuse. So thanks a lot. So yeah, just a little quick, I am an archaeologist, and one of the beautiful things that I found was doing that in a pre-collegiate high school. And I've been doing that now for 17 years. And for 14 of those years, I have been able to carry out my ongoing research, primarily in Belize. But I utilize the high school kids that I work with throughout the year. So right about the time the pandemic hit, I had about close to 80 students ready to go to 4 countries with me over the course of the summer of 2020. And of course, all of that had to be canceled. Not because of being extra cautious. The countries literally wouldn't let us in. So so it was definitely a different thing at this point. As I said, we work in 4 different countries. We have a lot of partners that sort of depend on us to bring the labor of the students, but also the business. And it's something that we work on year round to sort of prep. So things hit, not only did I have to teach remotely, I sort of had to start dismantling all of the things that we had worked throughout the year to execute over the summer.
Right. Okay. So you adjusted. Not only did you have to do that, like you said, you were working remotely with the children, which I'm sure is like, how did that go? I mean, I haven't heard like that. Believe me, many a week I have heard about the parents trying to figure out how to teach their children at home while they're working and doing other things. But I haven't heard it from a teacher's perspective. So share what that was like.
Yeah, I mean, just from that perspective, it went as well as I think it could have gone. We're fortunate. My wife also teaches at the school, and my kids attend the school. We're fortunate that we work at a really great school, and they had prepped us really. We thought they were crazy when they said virtual, but weeks before the shutdown, they had us really prepped. The students were ready, and I do work with really high achieving kids at the school, so it wasn't a fight to get them to do the work. It's just it was sort of, as you probably have experienced in the Zoom world, it was more one directional. It was hard to get the play back and forth with the students, and so for me it was not very fulfilling. And the kids, I'm sure it wasn't as exciting. It's just tough. It's just tougher to engage in this atmosphere. So, but as far as the summer went, I went from a summer where I literally would have left the day after graduation and flown overseas, and then maybe been home 6 days through the summer and come back the day before we went back to school. I went from that to literally having the entire summer to work. And there's a couple of things that I'm sure I'm repeating, and some of the things that Sonya said, not the workout thing, but
not that, Sonya.
not that. But some of the things that she was saying were, I really got to spend time with my family, and that's something that I've had to sacrifice. Fortunately, they do go with me a lot over the summers, which is nice. But it's a full-time job. I always tell everybody, they make fun that I don't do as much through the year, and I say, well, my work really starts in the summer. Yeah, I mean, I was able to sort of push pause for a second, which I don't think I've done in probably 17 years, and I got some things organized. I sort of took advantage. I too, I'm almost finished with a book I started back in March. And one of the other things that we just accomplished, and this goes with I don't have a clue what you're talking about, an MBA meeting, but I host 2 conferences every year. And we had always talked about having a virtual component, and we were forced to do it this year. And, we would average maybe at best like 170 attendees in person, and we had over 2,000. So that was really, I don't think, unless my hand was forced, I don't think I would have done that.
That's right.
So I wouldn't say that it was necessarily like streamlined or anything, but we sort of rolled with the punches and tried, I really just tried to take advantage of the time I was given and made the most of it. But definitely by far, the family time, it was just, it actually helps me reassess sort of how busy I make my summers. And I think those will look a little different in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you speak to anyone that had kids at home during this time. I think some very special memories, even though it's very scary and unsettling and difficult, I think there's going to be some really amazing memories and that are going to be taken away from this. That's for sure. And from an educational standpoint, I just am curious. Do you think that we have, just like the conferences with having a component of virtual and in person, do you think that schools maybe at some point may have to or want to integrate some virtual with in schooling? Do you think that would ever happen as just a natural progression outside of a pandemic? I'm just curious.
I mean, it's definitely happening in, secondary education. It has been for a long time. I think as you go younger and younger, I think the effectiveness is probably, and probably, even with high school, I think there would be a considerable draw. We actually have a lot of athletes that we actually live in NASCAR country, and we've had students who have to race, and they will have to do some virtual assignments. So we've sort of had it in some ways. So I think people will, if nothing else, I think they'll realize that it can be used, and I think people will have a little bit more faith in it. I think that may be a while because I think people are a little fed up with it at the moment.
I think so too. I think we've all got fatigue of it at the moment.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and it definitely. I'm complaining because I'm not as fulfilled, but these poor kids are on there all day, and I can't even imagine having to leave my class and then hit 4 more classes. That's. Ugh.
Right. Yep. But on the flip side of that, I mean, look at the opportunities have opened up for remote work, right? I mean, obviously, Sonya and I can certainly attest to the fact that our entire industry, we proved that it can all be done work from home. And there's many industries that are showing that. So it definitely, we're going to see many, many changes and shifts within the workplaces as well as, other industries. Interesting. Great, Matt. Awesome. All right, Marisa. Well, Marisa had a lot going on during this last year, that's for sure. So I will let her, kind of tell us a little bit of some of the things that she's been working on, but also some of the things you learned during this time and how you are thriving at this point.
So a lot, I've learned a lot. I've been through a lot, learned a lot. Going back to what Matt said, I did not learn to exercise. I bought all the equipment, got cute shoes, but that's as far as it went. Got cute workout shoes. And then, my hat goes off to Matt because as a pediatric nurse of 13 years, I can save your kid, but I can't teach him. So I can't teach my own. It's been a struggle. But yes, I have had a lot going on in the midst of this pandemic. I was talking to the rest of the guests before the show started. I am the mommy of my baby will be 4 months. Coming up on Tuesday. I am the mommy of a 9-year-old. And then, I also am a pediatric nurse of 13 years. And at the end of last year, I became certified as a pediatric nurse practitioner. And then on top of that, all of this jazz behind me, I am an independent consultant with Paparazzi Accessories. And so I have a lot going on. And I feel like, I've always taken life full force before the pandemic. I was always a goal-getter. I always appreciated dancing in the rain, so to speak. But I think that I learned in the pandemic that you can also laugh in the midst of pain. And that I really learned at the end of last year as I went through breast cancer, that you have to laugh in the midst of pain. But being a nurse and having a business like I do, folks are beating each other over the head over toilet paper, and here I am trying to sell accessories. So and I have I'm serious, and so I didn't know where I was going to fit in. People are literally trying to figure out how they're going to make it to the next day in the pandemic, and I do host a weekly jewelry show on social media. And I am fun loving and it's very high energy, but we're in the midst of a pandemic, a lethal situation. And I had to be careful using the levity that I use in a lethal situation. I had teammates and other consultants that I'm friends with who were like, I'm just going to stop. And I'm going to stop until the pandemic is over. Well, how is that working for you 7-8 months later? We're still in the midst. You can't just stop. But I approached things with caution because I didn't know, but I still promoted and I still worked. And I realized by doing that I was providing a pause in the pandemic. I was allowing people to step away from the news and have a break. And, maybe I wasn't saying it exactly in those words, but I was also providing permission for them to find pleasure, even in jewelry. You don't find pleasure when you're beating each other over the head over toilet paper, but you can find pleasure, sitting in the comfort of your home and just enjoying,
And Marisa,
Yeah.
we all know from here up is the most important part on a Zoom call. So your jewelry right there is perfect.
It's perfect
for when you're on a Zoom call.
And
the shoes, maybe not so much. You might not need the shoes.
But all of this,
that's exactly right.
You need it. And we're in the age of selfies. Everybody wants to take a selfie and post it. So you got to have your jewelry,
And I love that thought process because you're correct. And I actually noticed this on social media that once the pandemic hit, everyone was kind of thinking, well, even in our world, in the mortgage world, it was, maybe it's not the right time to speak about refinancing or purchasing a home. And my goodness, who would possibly be purchasing a home during a pandemic? Well, guess what? Lots and lots and lots of people, because the interest rates are very low. So It is a good time to take advantage of it. But you're right. There was a lot of that uncertainty of what should I do? And you're correct, Marisa. People needed that break from the constant news and the constant how much more can you hear the same over and over again? So That was smart. That was great. And that is why you're thriving. That
Yeah.
absolutely is part of the reason why. So I love that. That's great. Okay. All right. You guys are awesome. I told you we could go on for days here. All right, keep this moving. All right, Sonya. Second question. Okay, this is my most favorite question. So, as Matt mentioned, I am writing a book, and that's why this second question I love. It's part of my research here. So, my next question is, I believe that every one of us, look at this group, right? We're very diverse, we're very different. We all are coming from a different perspective, and we also have a unique ability or superpower that we have that we can share with the world that is special, that when we share it, it kind of mixes with others and creates something beautiful. So, Sonya, what do you feel your superpower is?
Well, I thought a lot about this one.
Good.
And I reached out. I have two awesome daughters, reached out and asked them what they thought my superpowers were. And I heard positive problem solver. When I asked my husband, he said I was a hammer. I think that means I get things done on the list.
Oh, execute. You're an executor. You make it happen.
Yeah. But what I think my superpower really is intuition and gut feel, and the ability to walk in and kind of know my audience, read the audience, and just have over the years learned not to ignore that feeling because it's right many times. And then my passion, which I think is very closely related to my superpower, is developing people, seeing the possibility and then showing them what the possibility is, and then working through a mentorship. That's what really keeps me in the game these days.
Well, all of those things makes it very clear as to why you're in the position you're in, because I know from being in the mortgage industry, all of those qualities that she just mentioned, you are perfectly positioned to why you're successful as a leader of a mortgage company, because you need all of those things. You need to be the problem solver. You need to follow your gut instinct. And the gift, this isn't necessarily mandatory, this is the passion part. Your gift of why your company is successful is because you then take that and share that to lift up others with providing them with confidence to grow. And you give them that back in mentorship. So that's wonderful. And it makes total sense, Sonya, as to why you're in the position you are and you've had a successful career. So, and you're giving it back to the next generation. So that's awesome. But do you see it actually is really fun asking other people what your superpower is? Because it really is fun because then you learn about how they see you. And
it's exactly. I asked my daughters over text, and I got quite a active response. I finally got to the serious ones, or what I hope was the serious ones.
That's actually a special moment with your daughters. So I love that. So awesome. All right, Matt, who did you ask? I bet you asked somebody. Did you ask somebody? Oh, wait, you're on mute. There you go.
I was actually worried about who I asked my children, so I muted it. Yeah, no, I asked my kids, and they pretty much said nothing. That's the relationship we have.
Wait, how old are your kids? I have to know the age of the kids for that one.
My daughter, Sophia's, she's 12, and my son will be 14 in a month.
They might just be too young. What do you think,
yeah,
Sonya?
No, they mess with me all the time. We aren't very serious in my house.
In about 6 or 8 years, they'll think you're a superpower.
That's right. I agree. I agree with you, Sonya.
I'm sure the answer would be
like a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be something crude and like insulting. So Yeah, but yeah, sort of boasting about a talent, that would go against everything my parents have ever taught me. So it's super awkward. My mom's probably going to be watching this and be like, Matthew. Anyway, yeah, I think my superpower is telekinesis. I can move things with my mind. No, I'm just
Come on, be serious.
No, I'm joking. I think, I said this in a podcast with Pete the other day, and I say it, and it's sort of funny, but it's also serious, is I don't think I was born with a good sense of like I just do things, and I'm not like a risk taker in like a dangerous way. I just sort of, if there's something that I get excited about or I think I want to do it, I usually just plow through it.
So you're an executor also. You make it happen.
Yeah, I mean,
like that. You don't overanalyze it.
Right. Like
you jump into what excites you.
Exactly. Like the example is, my students 14 years ago saying, hey, do you think we could do archaeology research? And these are high school kids. And it's not that it had never been done, but it was pretty unheard of. And I just sort of said, well, okay, I guess so. And it's been actions like that. Like, hey, do you want to host a conference? My friend, the peer review journal that we do, we were just sitting around hanging out one night, and he goes, I think we should do a peer review journal. And I was like, okay. And I know nothing about it. I've never done anything like that, but it sounded great. And I tend to only do well at things I like. So I've been blessed with having the fortune to do those. But, I think I just sort of muscle through. And I think people sort of pity me maybe and help me along to make those things materialize. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's a superpower.
I don't think it's pity. What I think it is that people see that you are excited about something, and therefore they want to be part of that vision that you're creating, and they're helping you because don't you understand, Matt, that when you help someone that feels good about something they're doing, they feel good also. So they're supporting you because you're giving off like, this is great, we're going to do this. And then they're there to kind of fill their pieces because they're getting benefit out of it also. So that's awesome. And I'll say, don't want to go against mom, but I will say that it's okay for us to share our superpower, because when we do, good things in the world happen. So it's all good. So share that, keep doing whatever lights you up. Share it with the world because it's all good. So yeah. Love it.
And I did say, I must say, and I don't think anybody's surprised, I don't know what all your superpowers are, but your positivity from the minute I got on the chat, and I don't know if you ladies did this as well, but I was like, wow, you were so positive. You could ask me to do anything, I would do it. So
I do have that ability, Matt. Yeah. Just so you know. I'm pretty good at getting yeses to pretty much whatever I ask.
I believe it.
But I only use it for good. Just know. I only use it for good. All right, Marisa over there. Let's hear, my lady. What superpower do you have?
Like everybody else, this is a hard question. I didn't even bother to ask my 9-year-old, and of course my almost 4-month-old couldn't tell me anyway. So I took the road less traveled. I asked my spouse. So I didn't know what I was going to get. I didn't know if he was going to tell me I was a whiz at making the laundry disappear or what. I didn't know. But what he was able to give me, and actually also what some of my customers were able to tell me, was kind of two different things. And I don't go into a phone booth and change costumes or see a bat symbol in the sky.
We thought it was the sequence. We figured that was the costume.
But and I think it was hard for me because I want to be a hero in a lot of things, especially as a nurse. I want to save everybody, and then, as a mommy, I'm always trying to be the superhero for my kids. But at the same time, you just really don't think of yourself as all that special when you're hiding behind all of these other titles. But, in talking with you on yesterday and talking with some of my customers and stuff, they really told me that I'm a hope dealer. I do hope. Yes, I'm selling jewelry and I want you to buy in all of this fabulosity. But even if you're just a spectator on one of my lives, I'm giving you something to look forward to, even if it's just a laugh. You may not purchase that day, but even if it's just a laugh, even if it's just a feel-good moment, even if it's just my realness, I'm giving you hope, especially in this pandemic. I'm giving you hope, And then also my husband, I don't know if he was just trying to get like brownie points, honeydew points, I don't know. But he said that, I really have a contagious can-do attitude. And it's contagious because, if you hang around me long enough and really truly get to know me, folks think they know me, but if you really truly get to know me, I'll have you really doing things that you never really would have pushed yourself to do, to be completely honest with you. And, a lot of times you'll see me doing stuff that you're like, well, she's got 2 kids and she, is going through breast cancer and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But by me doing it, you're like, you know what? I can do that too. And I'm one of those people that if I've done it and you want to do it, then I'm going to give you the blueprint. I'm going to give you the instruction manual. We're going to go step by step, and I'm going to give that to you as well. If I caught it, I want you to catch it too. And so I really think that I have that contagious kind of can-do kind of power.
Well, come on. This is like quotes. She's a hope dealer. Oh, that is, come on.
I'm a bling slinger and a hope dealer.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay. Wow. Woo. I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless. On you guys. This is just incredible. I feel like we're like ready to take over the world. Whatever. Just throw it at us. We've got it. No problem. All right, guys. You have been incredible. And obviously, we can see why all of you are thriving. And that's what we wish, continue. And I hope that the little exercise of what is your superpower, I really do hope that you realize how special all of you are and you do share that with others, because you are. Okay. All right. And now I get to hear what wonderful, fabulous superheroes I get to meet for next week. So Sonya, who do we have?
Yes, we have Nicole Booth, and Nicole is the Executive Vice President of Public Affairs for Notarize.
Ah, yeah.
She's
Absolutely.
awesome, and definitely, the need for online notary soared through the roof for real estate and many other things. So excited to nominate Nicole.
I love it. Can't wait to hear what that was like, going through all of that with obviously, like you said, it was, yeah, let's hear about that. It'll be a new thing in a couple of years too. No, we need it now. Has to happen immediately. So can't wait to hear. Awesome. All right, Matt, who do we have next week?
All right. So I reached out to one of my oldest friends, but also one of the most amazing guys I know, Dave Daniel. He is a business analyst lead and an adjunct professor at Marshall University in Huntington, West Virginia. But now he and his wife and 2 children just moved to Palm Coast, Florida. And he, in addition to doing stuff that I can't explain, just similar to you guys, he also founded this really great nonprofit called Build Ashland. That's where we both grew up. And like a lot of industrial towns in Appalachia, it really fell on hard times. Wow. And he really did some amazing stuff to sort of bring some new life and energy to my hometown. And it was something that was really special to me. And I was just amazed at how he could bring people together. So he was my immediate thought. He's also quite literally the funniest guy I've ever met. You're going to love him. Like I said, you'll forget me tomorrow. But he also, you know, it's sort of funny because he also is the co-founder and co-owner of a social media marketing group called the Social Rip. And he does a lot of social marketing for different businesses. A lot of them were in the Ashland area, but yeah, really fascinating guy. You're going to love him.
Awesome. Well, that sounds great. Can't wait to meet him. Okay, Marissa, who will we have?
You will have a good friend of mine, Shamanika Alexander, and she is the founder, CEO, all of the things for MK Golden Designs. And she has a personalization company. She does all things personalization. I mean, she does it all. But, you know, if I am the hope dealer, then she's the positivity pusher because she is always positive. Her tagline is "Make it a golden day." And she just exudes positivity. She exudes light. She exudes love. And I'm just excited for her to be one of your next guests.
Awesome. Well, we certainly look forward to meeting her. You guys are awesome. We wish you well. We wish you continue thriving. All the best. And thank you so much for being a guest on Thrive Thursday. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.